All right, guys, it is 12 o'clock Thursday afternoon Eastern Time here in Apex, North Carolina. Just got back from San Francisco yesterday, and every 12 o'clock, every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 o'clock, we have got Making Hay with JRA. Got a lot of new faces on the stream already. Appreciate everybody for joining us today. Any questions you guys have, please post either on YouTube or on Facebook, and we are going to answer those for you. If we got anybody that we were able to meet in either Sacramento or San Francisco watching, we really appreciated you guys meeting with us. I know everything went well. We've landed some new pay-per-click, SEO, and call center customers while we were there. Not necessarily in that area, but we just have had a great week so far, and look forward to helping everybody out. The topic of today that we're going to discuss is the importance of good enough and keeping things simple. And one of the things that I generally do on these episodes is I discuss stuff that's important to me and our company at any given point, and that has been important to us in the past. And right now we're on a kind of a roll trying to make sure we keep things simple. We have a lot of grand plans, what we want to do, a lot of things we want to build out, but only limited resources and a limited amount of time to do it. So whenever you have a limited amount of time to accomplish something, you need to think about how can I simplify it. You can have this huge grand plan with a million different steps, but if you never get it done, then all that planning was wasted. So you want to simplify and always simplify some more. Aaron's back there running the show. He's going to let us know when any questions come in. So again, guys, any questions or comments, please post. And also zip codes. We can always take zip codes. We can evaluate your website and give pricing recommendations. That's something we always do on Making Hay with JRA.
Yeah, we got a question coming in from Junk Leaders LLC, William French. Am I the only one slow? When does business pick up?
Yeah, I mean, some people are busy right now, some people are slow. March is a month that can go from one extreme to the other. So you're going to have some good weeks in March. You're going to have some weeks that are a bit slower. You're also coming out of February, which February is the absolute worst month in junk removal. So just stick in there. It'll turn around as long as you're doing the things you need to do to get known and get the word out about your company. We got anything else? Okay, great. So I'll list some examples of a few things that we're working on right now that is something where we're having to simplify. We've got about 30 or 35 companies we work with on Google Ads right now, and one of the things they want to be able to do is understand the exact money they're spending on and what search terms they're spending, and then being able to turn their campaign on and off, so on and so forth. So we're going to build out a system where those individuals are actually able to do that off of an app on their phone. It's going to be real simple, much more simpler than the Google Ads app. That's an idea of kind of keeping things simple. We've got an affiliate program we're just launching. Instead of going into a tremendous amount of detail, we're going to kind of keep it simple rather than building out this massive website. Like this JRA website, this thing right here, when we first implemented it, this site was much more complicated than it should have been. We should have really created this as almost a funnel, an area of, and this is, we're making changes to it now. We spent about $12,000 on building this site, and we wanted to present it in a way where everybody can get a lot of great free information. We could have done that and then also have our services presented in a much simpler fashion rather than we've got a million different landing pages in here. And we get people all the time that want to talk to us about building out their junk removal website and the changes they want. They want a video here, and then they want this feature and that feature. And the main thing you got to do is you just got to get something up to get started with. If you guys, so many people research, and they never truly get started. Again, all that research is wasted if you never get going. What we got? We got anything?
Yeah, so we've got a few things coming in here. The first one is from Damon Fogley with J-Dog Junk Removal, Austin, Texas. And he asks, can you talk about business credit versus personal credit? How do you switch to putting everything on business credit if you have been putting everything under your personal credit cards, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to go and get business accounts established. Now, they're going to make you sign for it. Whenever you start a brand new business, you're going to have to personally sign for any loan that you take out until you get to a great size. And even then, it's tough. They always want you to personally sign. So you just go to your local bank, or I don't have my wallet in here, but the Capital One has a card out where you can get 2% back on all business purchases. So I mean, we got a large limit on that thing. We're maxing that baby out. Spending as much money as we can on every single month, because we'll get a huge chunk of change back. So that Capital One card I really recommend. You got to have pretty good credit though, decent credit to start with though, because again, you're gonna have to personally sign for everything. But you do need to get that switched over. One other thing that I actually want to bring up, because we're talking about this, is I do participate in a lot of these online Facebook groups. And one of the things that just recently came up was on insurance. And people were asking, I'm not familiar with Next Insurance. I know everybody always talks about, or a lot of people talk about in junk removal, they use Next Insurance. I know nothing, really very little about them. I know they advertise in insurance for junk removal companies, but an individual came up and they said that they contacted Next Insurance, but Next Insurance actually doesn't cover damage that might be caused from junk removal operations inside a home. I don't know if that's the truth. I don't know if this person got an insurance agent that didn't know what they were talking about or what. But here's my experience with it. We operated our first 2 or 3 years in business without having to make an insurance claim. We didn't damage anything. I'd say our first 2 years in business, there was no damage to houses. We had no damage to our vehicles. A lot of that was because myself and Christian were on most of those, a lot of those jobs throughout that point in time. And, we were just running less vehicles, so less stuff would happen. We had to make our first claim. Our first insurance claim ever was we took out a refrigerator, and the refrigerator wound up scraping a hardwood floor. And about the length of this desk, there was a scratch all the way down the floor where it had actually dug in and not gouged this particular floor, but it had scratched it up pretty bad, and it was a fairly new hardwood floor. So we placed a general liability claim, and that claim was denied. Come to find out, it's actually not your general liability insurance carrier that will repair stuff inside your home with junk removal. So if you're taking something from inside somebody's home and you're bringing it out to your truck, it's actually your commercial auto policy. Crazy, isn't it? It's your commercial auto policy that covers it. The key word there, and this goes along, you talk about between commercial and residential, or commercial and personal, excuse me. The key word is a commercial auto policy. So those of you guys that are out there operating your vehicle with a personal policy and not a commercial policy, if you damage somebody's home, there's a good chance your general liability is not going to cover that claim, and your personal auto policy is not going to cover it either. As a matter of fact, they're probably going to want to cancel your policy once they realize you're operating operating a business using a personal policy. Just like with Uber, there's a big thing with Uber. Everybody, if you've got a personal auto insurance, you probably got the note that you are not covered. Your insurance will not cover an accident if you're operating Uber. So you need a commercial policy for that, just like you do on this business, just like you need business credit in addition to personal credit. Now here's one thing though, again, your business credit, well, the nice thing about it is if you pay your bills on time for your business credit, it's actually going to improve and raise up your personal credit as well. Got any other questions?
Yeah, we got one coming through from Triad Junk Removal. I'm trying to get the truck size here. They had said 14-foot box with 16-foot, 6-foot high side. So I'm trying to get clarification there. Triad, if you can send me, is that a 14-foot truck? Okay, here we go. So 16 feet long, 6 wide, and 6 high, looks like. And then the zip code is going to be 27265.
Okay, so Triad 27265 zip code. One of our competitors, I thought it might be, so in High Point. Okay, so let's figure out how many cubic yards this is right here. Is that showing up? Yeah, cubic yard calculator. 16, 6, and 6. Triad, I will give you accurate information here. I'm not going to bullshit you. All right, 6 foot high, we got 16 foot long, and we got 6 foot wide. We sure on that 6 foot wide? That's odd. If that's a box truck, that's an odd width. Okay, 21 cubic yards. So,
and it is a trailer.
Oh, got it, 21 cubic yards. Okay, so here's the nice thing, is since you are one of our competitors, instead of using College Hunks or Junk King like we normally do, we can actually pull up Junk Doctors. The pricing that we have, I'm pretty sure I know it here, but I will pull it up just for sure. 27265 on the zip code. 27265. Okay, so in the Triad area, we're about $60 cheaper than we are in Raleigh and Charlotte. So our full load rate is $470 in the Triad. Now our trucks are 15 cubic yards, so you can do 470 divided by 15. And then we get $31 per cubic yard. And then you've got a truck that is basically 22 cubic yards, 21 or 22, let's put it at 22. So if you did the same exact full load rate as we did, you'd be 22 times 31, your full load rate would be 682. And then we're going to pull up where you guys can see up here, I'll pull up a pad. What was that, address again, Aaron?
That zip code?
No, never mind, AW app. I was trying to remember to pull up the whiteboard up here. Okay, so we got Triad Junk Removal, High Point, North Carolina. Let's see if my stylus is going to work today. Triad Junk.
And excuse me real quick, guys, there might be some weird stuff on the screen. I'm just going to try and adjust this so you can see that TV a little better.
All right, so we got a full load. So your full recommendation, it came up at 682. I mean, I'd put it maybe 675, something like that. And you could so you have a larger vehicle than we do. So, generally when you have a larger vehicle, you're able to get more stuff in. So you'd actually probably lower this. Your vehicle is roughly 5 divided by 15. You're about 30%. Is that right? 30% larger than we are. Let's see. Yeah, something like 30% larger than we are. So I'd probably reduce this 675 down to. Sorry guys, let me find my eraser here. Here we go. No. Here, let's just move it up. All right, so your full load rate, I'd probably put somewhere around, in your case, this thing's great when it works. There you go. Full, okay. I'd probably keep it somewhere around like 625. Because again, you've got a larger vehicle than we do. Stick your 3/4 load somewhere around 90% of that. So you'd be somewhere around 550. Half load, around 64% of that. So you'd be somewhere around, it says 400, I'd probably put it 360 or so. Guys, you can see I'm improvising a little here. This isn't an exact science. And then your quarter load, you're going to come in somewhere around 4 times 625, somewhere around 250-ish on a quarter load. And then your minimum, our minimum, our minimum in Greensboro is 115. And, we don't really want to get a whole lot of minimum jobs. So, if we do get them, we want to make money on them. So 115 is our minimum load rate in Greensboro. You can go with 115. You could go with an 85 or a 99. But that's kind of my recommendations. The larger trucks, a lot of people love larger trucks because they can get more in the load before having to dump. But the one issue is you aren't getting as much per cubic yard. So it really, in terms of profitability, is about a wash. Then you have the disadvantage of trying to explain to your customers your pricing. Even though Junk Doctors, you're going to actually wind up paying more per cubic yard on a full load anyway. Your rate is higher. So at 625 compared to 470, that's a pretty big difference, and that can take some effort to try and convince customers you're actually less and you're not, a whole lot more expensive. What else we got, Aaron?
Yeah, so the next one we got is a website from Good Karma, and their website is goodkarma1.com.
Let's try the number 1. Here we go. Okay, Mike. Yeah, I mean, as always, you're giving me this stuff because you want me to be honest and everything on it. Aaron, why don't you jump in? Can you see the site?
Yeah.
Why don't you give your input on it?
Yeah, so the first thing, there's just really not any organization up at the top. It's not leading the customer anywhere, and there's a lot of, just pictures of junk. So this immediately looks like a dated site. You do have the phone number there, but again, the organization is gonna hurt you on that. So it needs to be in a format where we can kind of lead the customer where they're supposed to go, show that you are a junk removal company. Yeah, there's your name down here. You've got what looks like your menu.
That should be flip-flop. Name should be higher. Should be higher up, and the menu itself needs to be. I think you're getting ready to say the menu needs to be at the top.
Absolutely. And then what do we have here? Is this your Facebook feed that's kind of linked in?
Yeah, this looks like a Facebook feed of some sort.
Yeah. So you've got a lot going on. We can definitely simplify that. A lot of hard to read text with a kind of crazy background. Yeah, it's a very basic format with too much involved. So simple is going to be better, and the order is going to be very important for you. So we're going to want that title up at the top. We're going to want a nice big pretty image that's got you or some of your employees with your truck. The best image that we can get up there showing who you are, and have that phone number prominently displayed. But let's box that. Let's make it look nice. Let's show the customer, hey, call now. Let's get that menu up at the top. Then let's start explaining who you are in simple steps and without some of that crazy background stuff. Right now, it's lacking a lot in design, both for conversion and for aesthetics.
So, part of, guys, on your websites, it's who's landing on your site. If you're using this website on Craigslist, this site might do well. There's actually some research that actually shows having a less sophisticated site on Craigslist actually leads to more jobs because people want to deal with an amateur. They want to deal with somebody. I mean, Mike, this picture right here, you look trustworthy. So, I mean, that's good. Somebody on Craigslist is probably going to like that. But when you start dealing with Google customers are wanting professionalism, and they're going to judge your company not based on the work that you do, but the work the way your website appears. So here's an example of Altitude Hauling in Denver. This is a site that we did. I mean, you can see it's one picture in here instead of multiple ones. It's polished. It has nothing to do with junk. People know that you do junk removal. You don't need to show, I mean, pictures of junk aren't very pleasant to look at. So you want to show them the professionalism, the polishedness. His truck looks clean. He looks clean. Talks about junk removal so they know exactly what you do. Goes into getting the appointment scheduled. If they want to text pictures in to get an idea of cost, that's on there as well. That's a good lead-in feature, guys. The picture stuff, I get asked about that often, is what do you think of having customers text you pictures? We try not to give firm estimates over a picture, but what we do is they'll send it in and we'll say, yeah, so it looks like you might be around to 50-ish, give or take. However, once we get on site, we will quote you a firm estimate. What city are you in so we can go ahead and get that appointment set up for? And then we'll go and get the booking reserved. We'll either call the customer and get it reserved, or we'll get it booked right over the phone. So it's a great lead in. It's kind of almost like the beginning part of a funnel. Some people just prefer texting. They will not call a phone number, so you need to leave a text option at this point. What else we got?
We've got a question over on Facebook from Matthew Moses. If my partner and I do most jobs ourselves, but once in a while need help on bigger jobs, what's the best way for us to legally hire help? Is there a way to hire someone for the day by having them sign a liability waiver and 1099 for their work for the day?
Yeah, in that case, if you're using somebody from time to time, you can certainly just hire them as a contractor and 1099 them. Here's one thing you might get in trouble with by doing that, though, is I'm assuming if it's just you and your business partner, you do not have workers' comp, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't have workers' comp on the owners of the company. But if that individual comes on board and winds up getting injured, you are held responsible for that. So you need to keep that in mind. Guys, when we first started, we didn't have workers' compensation insurance until we got, I think it's 3 employees in North Carolina. You're required to have it. So you can look into your local laws and regulations. If you're not required to have it, you're not breaking a law, but just keep in mind, even if you're not required to have it and that person gets injured, you're held responsible. So I have a better option for you. Temporary labor agencies work out fairly well. We use them only on larger jobs when we're short-staffed. We try and do it when it's not going into somebody's home if they're there. Actually, we never do it. If we're going into somebody's nice home when they're there, we're not going to do it. We might do it on a hoarding house, however. So the nice thing about temporary labor agencies is they pay the employee. The employee, they're going to have a ride there. They always make sure they're going to get dropped off at the job site or wherever they need to go. And the workers' compensation insurance is paid as well, and it's one flat rate. So, I mean, depending on where you are, I think around here we pay like 18 bucks an hour. And guys, I mean, by the time we pay our employees hourly rate, we pay our workers' compensation insurance, we pay Medicare and Social Security, we're well over $18. We're several dollars an hour over $18 an hour. So it actually is cheaper than your own, your own team members that you have, and then everything's covered. So in your situation, setting up with a temporary labor agency is almost ideal.
Next one we got is from Rios Junk Removal, and they give us a zip code and truck size. We've got 73036 with 14 cubic yards.
Okay, excellent. All right, so let's pull up. All right, we've already got the cubic yards, so let's get our pad up here where you guys can see. Okay, and then also 73036. Actually, first thing we need to do is let's check out Junk King's site. I hate having to plug them when we do this, but they're the only ones that list pricing in pretty much all areas around the country. Okay, so we'll go to the pricing estimator. Got worried for a minute, I wasn't seeing it. Okay. 73036. Okay, they don't service that particular area, so let's do a quick little, now you make it challenging. 73036 zip code. El Reno, Oklahoma. How close is this to like Oklahoma City? Let's see, El Reno to about a half hour. So let me pull a zip code for Oklahoma City, because I would almost guarantee Junk King is in Oklahoma City. All right. Some of these zip codes you get online are actually no good. What is this zip code here? If he's got a zip code for Oklahoma City, that would be great that we can use. Here, Chesapeake Energy Arena address. $73102. Let's try that. And if Junk King doesn't have it, then we'll have to do it the hard way. 73102. Anything from him on another zip code?
Nothing yet.
Okay. Okay, there we go. All right, so there they are. So sometimes, one of the things is with these franchises is they'll have a territory. So even though in a particular zip code you're in, you enter it in and it says they don't service it, they're likely in the major metro area that's near you, so you can always check that. Here's something to keep in mind though, is when you find an area that might be decent for business that your local franchises doesn't service, I'd kind of focus in your advertising on that particular area, because there's going to be people that are calling Got Junk and Junk King and college hunks and so on and so forth. They're going to find out that that area is not serviced. So if you're doing Google Ads, you might want to be more aggressive in the areas that actually Got Junk isn't in, because there's a lot of business to be had. You can take a lot of stuff from Got Junk in that case. You'd actually run a landing page in a campaign talking about almost the fact that Got Junk doesn't service that particular area, and there's a good chance you're going to get a great amount of business from it. All right, their full load rate, Jaime, is 528. That is an 18 cubic yard truck. 528 divided by 18. Comes in pretty cheap at $29 per cubic yard. What are your disposal fees? Jaime, if you're watching right now, not on a job or driving, enter in your disposal fees out of curiosity. I bet they're real low. Okay, so 29 per cubic yard on a 14 cubic yard truck, we'd be looking at 406 on the full load, so we'd call that an even $400 on a full truckload. So, go to our pad over here. All right, so we have 14 yards. Recommend a full load rate of $400. A 3/4 load rate of 90%. So we would be at 360. We're going to have 67% on the half load. We're going to have 40% on the quarter load. So the half load, 0.67 times 400, be looking about, comes up to 268, so we'll put that at 260. 1/4, be at 40%. Comes up to 160. I'd keep it maybe right in there at 160. And then guys, you know, you're gonna have your 6th load, your 8th load, you know, beneath that as well, then your minimum. You might wanna start your minimum at $99 or $115, pretty standard on what we do. 85 if you wanna be super aggressive. One thing to keep in mind, guys, is we always mention this, but your pricing is also dependent on the people you're advertising to. So, Craigslist customers in your particular market, you might have to have a separate price sheet for Craigslist customers. You might have to give them 20% off. So this $400 full load right here would instead be something like $320, something like that. So I mean, you've got room to move on Craigslist jobs, especially because your customer acquisition cost is a lot less. Got anything else?
Oh yeah, we've got a lot. Godson 985, what are your thoughts on doing odd jobs like hauling dirt and gravel when business is slow?
Yeah, when business is slow, go for it, guys. I mean, landscaping. There's times, even now, in the winter and all, if we're a bit slow, we'll go rake people's leaves and kind of gather up leaves and then haul the leaves off. We might even do it for less money than we typically would. I wouldn't actively advertise for additional services a lot of time. I would still be trying to drum up junk removal business because there is junk removal business to have even when it's slow. So I wouldn't go out and I'd say I'm going to offer pressure washing, that I wouldn't start offering dumpster rental because I'm slow. I wouldn't start advertising dirt hauling and that kind of deal, but if it comes to you, go for it. And go ahead and knock it out if people already located you to do those types of jobs.
All right, Triad Junk Squad. We're gonna wait on that website for now so we can get somebody else's looked at. Junk Leaders LLC, William French. We are close to finishing our site, www.junkleaders.com. Almost done.
Awesome. Is it? He wants me to pull it up, or is it not finished yet?
Let's see if it's done.
Junkleaders.com.
Junkleaders.com.
If this is his, we've got a site right here. So, not a bad design first look, other than these trash bag pictures. I mean, again, guys, it's just not appealing. The people want to see the actual people that are going to come out to them. So get a professional photographer to take some great pictures. What's your free quote up here do? Let's see. Okay, so request a callback. Again, you can have people submit text right here, text photos for an instant quote. I'd have this. This kind of blends in. You've got this green, all this green in right here. This did not jump out at me. If you put like some sort of a back in there, and you can expand on this, but a little background or something around that, and maybe a different color to really draw people in, I think that would help you convert more on the text end of things. What you think, Aaron?
Yeah, definitely. Anytime you've got a button or something like that, rather than just having underlined text, go ahead and design a button for it. It can just be a simple color behind there. That's just visually, it'll pop that text out from the rest of the stuff and indicate to someone that it is a button.
And I'm not one of these guys saying that logos make or break a business. 99 Designs or 5R, is it 5R? F-I-V-E-R-R?
Yeah, Fiverr.
Yeah, which one did we just use for our most recent logo we're about to roll out?
I think that was 99 Designs.
99 Designs. We've been happy with 99 Designs. It's pretty cheap. It's like $150 or something like that. It can get you a great professional logo. This right here, I mean, you know, the recycling logo, I see what you got in there, but like the text isn't really, it's not really designed. So, you know, when somebody lands on that, it's just missing kind of that professional edge. So 99 Designs is super cheap for professional logo design.
Cool. And William did say we have not changed the pics yet. That's awesome. Love to see this one when it's done too. But great start here. All right. We've got a few others up in this section.
Yeah.
So Dana Hassan, I'm in Southern California. Do you think this area is too saturated with junk removal companies to start offering that service?
Yeah, I mean, it just all goes to back. Are you going to commit to stand apart? So, you know, there's Atlanta. That's one area that we're getting ready to do some Google Ads. We just landed a customer for Google Ads in Atlanta, and a very saturated market. You know, but if they're committed to standing apart from everybody else, if you're going to get in there and you're going to do the exact same thing that everybody else is doing, and you're not going to make sure you're up top on Google Ads and you're willing to spend there, do Facebook advertising campaigns. Have y'all seen, I know you guys have probably seen our Facebook commercial. We're actually going to be able to rebrand this. This is Aaron's main project he's working on right now. We're going to be able to rebrand this commercial. Let me pull this thing up. So, and this is going to be a complete campaign. So there'll be a squeeze page where they come from the Facebook ad, and then they're going to be able to enter their email address in to receive a coupon for like 10% off, and then they're going to be able to enter their mailing address in to get to have a magnet with Mr. Junk. Our character's name is Mr. Junk on it. And then they also, along with that magnet, they're going to enter themselves in for a chance to win up to a free load of junk removal. We'll probably do that once a quarter or once a month. So here's this commercial if you guys hadn't seen it. Let's see if I can get...
You didn't have room in your recycling bin. So now...
Let me restart this here, guys, where we had the volume up. Okay.
From your old moving boxes. You didn't have room in your recycling bin. So now I'm on your pool table, blocking that perfect combo you finally would have nailed. Not on my watch. Let's face it, I'm in the way. This isn't working for either of us.
But if you call Junk Doctors, they'll be out within 24 hours to take me off your hands.
They'll get me out no matter where I'm hiding. They'll load me up and take me where I belong. So call Junk Doctors today and get rid of me for good.
So this commercial right here is up to 72 shares. Where's the views at on this thing? Just shy of 40,000 views. It was 39,000 views. And that was, how long has that thing been out now? 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks in a day. 40,000 views. Now of that, about 38,000 were within the first week or so. We're not currently running paid ads to that because we're finishing out that campaign. So that's just goes where I'm saying is a lot of junk removal companies are not doing Facebook ads right now. You go where they aren't, and then where they are, you have to outcompete them. If you're going to just get in and you're going to be an also-ran, you're going to get on Craigslist when there's already 40 companies in your area doing it, you know, you're going to get some jobs from here to here, but if you're looking to build up a real sustainable business, you're never going to accomplish it because you're doing what everybody else is doing.
So we got a kind of response back continuation from Matthew Moses on Facebook, and he says, thanks. Just to reiterate on that response, if we write out a contract stating that they are working on their own terms and for themselves, that we are in no way responsible for their personal injury, and they sign it, we are still not covered. If I'm understanding this right, having the potential hired help sign a waiver of this sort is meaningless.
More or less, yes. I mean, the thing it might do is it might keep that individual. It might make that individual believe that you're really not liable. But yeah, I mean, more or less. I mean, you can talk with an attorney. I'm not an attorney here, but generally, whoever you hire, if you're hiring a contractor, they're required to have their own insurance. And if they do not have their own insurance, then you could be held liable for them getting injured or for them messing up a customer's property, whatever.
Albino Buffalo asks, Lee, how do we go about getting a loan and showing proof of income for a business looking to buy an Isuzu dump?
So getting a loan for a vehicle in your business is generally not all that difficult if you have decent personal credit, and if you have a little bit of a down payment to put down. You just go there and you say, hey, I'm going into business, and and they're going to ask for your credit. They're going to pull a credit check, and they're going to ask how much money you're going to put down, and normally it's just like you're going to buy a personal vehicle for the most part. Now, if you've been in business for a certain length of time and you want to get a loan, normally they're going to want to look at 2 years of of your tax returns, and they're going to base that decision off the tax returns as well as your personal credit score. So when you first get going, again, like we were talking about earlier with J-Dog down in, I think it was in Dallas, you're going to have to sign on all these loans personally. So if your personal finances are okay, you should be good getting a loan on the commercial end as well.
We got another zip code in from Dana Hassan.
Okay.
This one is 91762, and the truck size is 14 by 8 by 5 Isuzu cab over.
14 by 8 by 5, I believe that's going to be probably 19 or 20. Probably going to be 20 cubic yards. Let's pull a quick calculation right here. Cubic yard calculator into Google. It's 5 foot in depth. We have 14 foot in length, 8 foot wide. 20 cubic yards, close to 21. Let's just put it at 20 for now. So 20 cubic yards. And let's see what the Junk King is charging in this particular market. Where is this at, by the way? Let's see. 91762. You searching? Yeah. What's the business name? Do we have that?
Not sure.
Ontario, California. We were just out in California. I'm not sure where that is in relation to San Francisco and Sacramento. Let's see. 91762. Pricing, guys, most important thing in your business, one of the most important, is what you charge. The customer acquisition cost that we covered last Tuesday, you need to watch that. You need to go through it. You need to understand your CAC. Your average job cost is about the most important thing you're going to do, almost the most important number, that and the customer acquisition cost in your business. If you raise up your average job cost, it's amazing how quickly your profit increases. Just a $20, let's say if you did 500 jobs let's say you did 500 jobs over the course of a year. If you just got your average job price increased by $20, you got an additional $10,000 in profit. Not just income, guys. Price increases is profit. So get those prices up. Get them in line. Those of you guys that are out there operating and you're saying the number one thing you're going to do to get business is be the cheapest, you ain't going to last very long. It's a race to the bottom. You got to figure out a way to stand yourself apart and get in front of people who really don't give a shit about price. All right, 91762. Good news, Junk King does service that area. So let's see what the king, they claim to be the king of junk charges. They're in at about 650, 648 on the high end for a full load. So we're going to put that in at 650. That's an 18 cubic yard truck. So 650 times 18, they're coming in, what did I do there? 650 divided by 18, there we are. All right, they're coming in at $36 per square foot, per cubic yard. Okay. All right, so let's run through our calculation up here for Ontario, California. Got a full load in at 650 for Junk King. All right, so 36 times 20 is going to be 720, but you got a larger truck, so they're 18 yards, you're 20, so I would discount this a little potentially, or maybe keep it about the same, because Junk King is a bit cheap. So if you're reaching the right people, if you're reaching Google customers, you're showing well organically, or you're doing Google ads, or even Facebook customers. If you got a Facebook branding campaign going, you can get away with a bit higher than if you're just relying on Yelp jobs and Craigslist jobs. You might just put it at about 720. Because like I said, Junk King, we normally are more expensive than Junk King, so I'd stick it at about 720. Your 3/4 load rate, I'd put in, it's going to be 90%, 0.9 of the full load times 720. It comes up at 650. I'd probably keep that about the same, about 650. Your half load, you're going to go a little bit lower since you have a larger vehicle. You need to get that down some. So your half load is at 67%, 0.67 times 720. We got 480 is what it comes up with. I'm going to lower this down to about 440 on the half load. 1/4 load. If you want to lower this a bit more, that would probably be okay. That half load, if you want to get down a bit more, don't be afraid of doing that. Again, guys, I'm kind of pulling this without researching your market, your disposal fees, or anything like that. You got 40% on 1/4 load, 0.4 times 720. You're coming in about, it comes up 288. I'd probably lower this down to, say, 250 on a 1/4 load. And then you'd have your 1/8, your 1/6, and then your minimum, I'd probably put your minimum around 115. It's kind of generally how we put it, or 99 or 85. Again, guys, this is Google. For Craigslist, you can charge less. Have 2 different price sheets for your 2 different customers. Any topics, guys, anything you guys want to talk about moving forward? We'll address questions and all now, but if there's a particular topic you'd like us to focus on our next episode of Making Hay with JRA, please include it in on here. Give us some great ideas. Insurance is one thing that's mentioned. I am going to try and get an insurance agent on here potentially next Tuesday. So I think that'll probably, hopefully be our topic for next Tuesday, is covering insurance. So anything that you have. In all complete honesty, this thing was planned out in about 15 minutes, our topic today. So please give us a lot of Q&As. We just got back from San Francisco, have a million things to do. So this thing was not as planned out as Tuesdays is going to be. So any ideas you guys have, though, please post. What other questions we got?
We got Rios Junk Removal and Hauling LLC. How do I get what percentage of my daily income goes towards labor, dump fees, taxes, owner's compensation, advertising, and profit? I know you sent me a spreadsheet, but do I use a percentage there? And he elaborates. For example, yesterday we made $595. Labor was $184, including my compensation of $100. Fuel at $66, which will last a couple more jobs. Disposal $50. Scrap $73, which I'm doing what Russ does with his scrap. Profit $220. Is my profit really $220 because I did not include taxes and advertising?
So your allowable acquisition cost in that case is $220. So that means that is your profit of $220. And then as far as including advertising in, you need to know what your acquisition cost is. So in order to do that, easiest way, if you're trying to figure this out on what are you currently profiting per job, you've got your advertising spend divided by number of jobs. So for example, your advertising spend, if it is, let's say in a given month you spend $10,000 on advertising. And then that gets you 100 jobs. Then your acquisition cost in this case is $100. So that means you would take, in that case, for yesterday, the key word here being yesterday, I'm going to elaborate here in a minute. For yesterday, if you figured you had a $220 profit, you're going to take your $220 profit, you're going to subtract whatever the however many jobs that you had yesterday, would come out of that. So I mean, if that's 2 jobs, I mean, if you, let's say it's Jaime, I know in your case you're not doing Google ads and everything with your pricing. I know you're not paying $100 customer acquisition cost. So let's say you're actually paying. So Craigslist is typically going to be. We're going to forget about the calculation we just made a second ago. Craigslist, you might be at $30 customer acquisition cost. So in that case, let's say you did 3 jobs. You're going to take that 220. You're going to minus 90 out of it, and then that's going to be your profit. It's going to be what, 130. So in this case, 130 would be your profit after advertising. Now here's something else that a lot of people don't account for when you're doing these calculations on a day-by-day basis or even a month-by-month basis. You're not accounting for repairs. You're not accounting for insurance, credit card processing fees. All of this stuff that you pay out needs to be figured as a percentage of each job, because you wouldn't be paying that stuff unless you're getting paid. So all expenses you have, your fixed income, even your rent expense. A lot of when we sent you that spreadsheet, Jaime, we don't have our rent expense in there, but even your rent expense should almost be considered into your expenses on a per job basis, because that rent has got to get paid. Our topic today is keeping things simple, and that complicates matters when you start taking in fixed income and trying to figure out an exact cost without knowing the exact number of jobs. So the CAC that we have is pretty reliable, but you always have to think about what are your fixed costs as well. You need to make sure your prices are high enough that you're covering those. One thing I mentioned before, Jaime, is you were pulling, all you did yesterday is you just added up all your expenses on a day-to-day basis. You need to be on QuickBooks. Every single one of you needs to be on QuickBooks online. It's $30 a month, and you need to take a little time. You sync up your bank accounts, have one bank account, one credit card to keep things simple like we're talking about. And then at the end, once a week, on a Sunday or whenever you have a little time, in an evening, when you're small, this is going to be easy. You go through your bank account, you categorize all your different expenses that got synced over. You only have to do this once or twice, and then QuickBooks is going to remember it. So if it's a Google charge, or it's a Craigslist charge, or it's a Yelp charge, those are advertising. If it's your local landfill or transfer station, those are disposal fees. If it is your insurance company, that is insurance. And then that way you have exact numbers over a period of time. CAC, you need to look at it you need to look at CAC on a weekly basis, but you want to evaluate your percentages based on a month, a quarter, and then a year. Because the longer period of time that you have, you're going to get more accurate numbers. If you're basing your numbers off of a week where you had like 10 multi-load jobs, then your average job and your expense percentages are going to be completely different than a week where you have 10 minimum quarter load pickups, which they're going to happen. There's going to be weeks you're going to be really busy and weeks you're going to be really slow. However, if you look at it over a month or a quarter, then those numbers are likely going to have started to average out to your true expenses, your true costs, and your true average income. So we'll still be rolling through some questions here, guys. I do want to keep rolling along on our agenda, even how small it is, but we kept this plain and simple today. Again, keep things super simple, make it simple, simplify some more. When you're creating checklist, you should have checklist on every single process in your business. Should have a manual on how to do it, and it should have a checklist on what you expect out of your guys. So, but one of the key things you want to do is, even though you want it to be specific on what you expect, you don't want a million different checklist items in there that are so daggone obvious that people are going to be like, man, this is stupid to even do. And what happens is they start blindly. They just go check, 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 check. They're not even looking at what they're doing. So make sure you keep that stuff simple. And guys, the other thing that we were talking about today, other than keeping it simple, is accepting good enough. So many people out there, so many business owners out there want to be a perfectionist. I have no idea how many businesses have been sunk because the business owner was a perfectionist, but I would guess it's thousands every single year. Here's a reality. All the people you hire for your junk removal business are likely not going, every single one's likely not going to take the same pride and have the same care in your company that you yourself do. And it's completely natural. However, there is ways to get some individuals that sense of responsibility, and that's by tying their income in with production, with sales, with growth. And by doing that on that individual, that person can manage several of the other people as well and try and get them, between you and that supervisor or those couple people you tie in, then that culture can kind of spread throughout your company, and you can have great success. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people are afraid of hiring because they're afraid of getting their equipment tore up. They're afraid of employees missing job quotes. They're afraid of employee mishandling a customer. All three of these things are going to happen. You will have employees that damage stuff. You're going to have employees that miss quotes. You're going to have employees that piss off a customer because they handle something a lot worse than you would have. Don't retract from that. Instead, address the issue that you had, train for it, and make sure that it's not happening consistently. And if it happens again and it's a big enough issue, especially dealing with customers poorly, then that person gets let go. You're never going to grow a business that you have freedom in, that's bringing you a great income in, that's not requiring you to bust your back every single day and be out there every single moment, unless you're willing to accept good enough. However, by accepting good enough, I'm not saying that you should accept mediocrity. You accept good enough, you train, and you consistently improve, and you monitor your numbers to make sure that things are consistently improving. You want to strive for better, but if you're going to accept nothing short of perfection, you're never truly going to get enough done to have a successful company. What other questions we got?
John Melendez, what's up, guys? Zip code 11720, 16 cubic yard truck, and dumping fees about $100.
11720, said John Melendez.
That's it.
Let go junk. Okay, 11720. All right, now we're going to have some pretty large numbers pop up here, most likely. Let's see. Long Island won't be as bad as Manhattan, I don't think, but 11720. How many other questions and comments and all that kind of stuff do we have? Because we're coming up on an hour.
We've got several other comments. I was able to take care of a couple of questions on here, so we've got one other main question.
Okay, excellent. So we'll address that and kind of get everything wrapped up. Any last questions, guys? Go ahead and post them. Any last questions? Go ahead and get them in. 11720. Surprisingly, Junk King is not in that area. So, what was the truck size?
16 cubic yards.
Suffolk County, New York. I can't believe Junk King isn't in there. Suffolk County, NY, Junk King. Whoop. How far is Milford, Connecticut? That's probably not even close. All right. Junk Luggers is most likely in that area, I would imagine. Yeah. Let's see. Luggers might used to have pricing on there. Let's take a look. The process of doing it when you don't have competitor pricing to really pull from as a starting point is definitely a lot more difficult. It is doable. Pricing. Let's see if they're going to help us out. 11720. Awesome. Okay, so they're still running a pricing estimator as well. Okay, Junk Luggers, I think they're 18 cubic yards. I'd have to verify that. They're coming in at 818 for a full load. And we're going to say they're at 18 cubic yards. You said we did or did not have a truck size?
We had a truck size at 16.
Okay. So they're coming in at $45 per cubic yard. All right, so on the full load end, on 16 cubic yards at 45 per cubic yard, you're coming in at 720. Luggers is a little bit on the high end. So guys, until you guys have a bunch of great reviews, a great reputation build up and previous customers that are kind of using you already, you probably most likely want to come in a little bit less than Luggers. If you're comparing yourself to Junk Luggers. So this is in Suffolk County, New York. Full load rate of Luggers is 720. I'm sorry, if you're using Luggers prices, it would be 720 because they were a little over 800. I'd probably stick this something like 695. Get that under get that under the 700 mark. 3/4 load rate at 90%. Times 695, gonna come in at 625. I'll put it at 620. Half load is 67%. 67 times 695. It says 465. We're gonna stick it at like 4. We're trying to start working this way down. We're starting to stick it at about 425. Then we got a 1/4 load rate of 40, and that's going to be at 40%, 0.4 times 695. That comes in at 278. I'd probably bring this down to about 250. And your minimum in that area, if you have high minimum dump loads, so if you have like a 1-ton minimum and you have $110 a ton, I mean, obviously you can get a lot of minimum loads on here, but you're probably going to want at least a 115 minimum. You might even want like and then with traffic, if your traffic's bad, you might even want a 115 to 140 minimum load. Out of curiosity, let's see what Junk Luggers was. Let's see. Any other questions?
Yeah, we got kind of 1.5 final questions on
Okay.
here.
Okay, so 11720, yeah. So look, right here, Junk Luggers is coming in at 150, so I recommended 115 to 140. I'd probably be around 125 minimum, and I might even do that 140 because you have a lot of fixed cost operating in the area that you're operating in. Okay, what kind of questions we got?
Jake Day Williams, I'm trying to hire my first 2 employees. What's a fair hourly rate? I'm in Utah, and he says, better yet, what percentage of income should be allotted to employee pay?
Yeah, so as far as trucks, if you got 2 employees on your truck, we normally figure 37% of income. So, yeah, you know, you're going to kind of base it off that. The other way to go about it, I mean, I don't know, is that Salt Lake City, Utah? Did he say what part of Utah?
What area of Utah is that, Jake?
Okay, so minimum wage in Salt Lake City is $7.25. Let's look at the cost of living comparison. Salt Lake. Whoop. All right, since Raleigh's always my baseline because I'm familiar with this market. So we got Salt Lake City, Utah to Raleigh and C. Salt Lake City is 12.5% more expensive than Raleigh. We're starting out our guys at $12, $13 an hour. They make up to $17 an hour. So let's put it in there at 13. 13 times 0.125, that's 1.625 difference. So, I mean, you're probably going to be somewhere around $14, $14.50 on getting started out. But, I mean, the other thing you can do is go on Indeed.com, look and see if College Hunks or somebody in your area is hiring. If they are, that's going to give you a baseline. The other thing is you can research moving companies, and that'll also kind of give you a baseline of what to expect. And, you know, we always want our guys to be able to make enough money where they're not, where they're able to live at least. So a lot of these guys are still going to live paycheck to paycheck. Money's still going to be a worry to them, but we want them at least to be able to afford transportation into work and some decent living. That way they show up, you know, ready to work every single day. Okay, guys. So just wrap it up again on how important this is. I know there might have not been a tremendous amount of substance to this particular topic, but I do want to tell everybody you've got to get out there and get started. Now, you don't have to learn everything the hard way. If there's an existing plan in place, JRA's business package, for example, or whatever you're doing, you do not have to learn things the hard way. You can learn from others. You can purchase training and existing materials that are in place, existing systems that are already set up and then are simplified. Because the key is getting things done. If you get things done, if you get started, you're going to build yourself a successful business. Problem with perfection is it is unattainable. There will never be the perfect time in your life, in your business, to do whatever. You're never going to be making enough money at any given point until you get out there. You're never going to make enough money to do Google Ads, to do SEO, to do social media marketing until you actually get out there and get started with it, because that's going to bring the income along in it and you're going to learn from it. Don't get stuck in the planning phase. A lot of businesses fail because the owners strive for perfection. Even more businesses never get off the ground. There's no telling how many great brands never came to be because the owner got stuck in the planning phase. And then always, always, always look to improve your business once you get started. Again, perfection's unattainable, but that doesn't mean we can't always be improving. Guys, every Tuesday, every Thursday, 12 o'clock Eastern Time, we bring you Making Hay with JRA. Any topics you guys want for upcoming episodes, please include in the comments below, and we'll try and chart them out for you and provide as much content as we possibly can. Check us out at junkrA.com or give us a call, 919-617-1975. Everybody have a great day. Hope the rest of your week brings you lots of jobs and prosperity. We'll be back next week. Thanks, guys.